Another story that's been making headlines with us here for about a couple weeks now, and we're on the other side of it. We're getting to the reaction point and even some rollback about this breaking news that people were not too happy about.
That's right. We've got Eric Kulisch here to discuss FedEx Freight's decision to roll back some of their, I guess, to reinstate some of the lanes that they had taken off for some of their customers. We had seen that they had dropped 1,400 vendors back at the end of last week or 2 weeks ago, and they've now reversed course. Eric, thanks for joining us. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, no, as we've been reporting, and a lot of readers have been noticing, FedEx Freight has been jammed up with shipments, as a lot of the LTL carriers are, and they wanted to try and improve their quality of service, and decided the way they had to do it, because some of their terminals are so overwhelmed, was to cut off certain customers in certain locations and certain lanes with high density. So they did that, but they did it, kind of, at the snap of a finger, and left people in the lurch and bruised some feelings. And so there was a lot of backlash. I think a lot of the smaller shippers were unhappy, but they probably couldn't do a whole lot about it. But it turns out that, some of those shippers were suppliers to larger retailers, big box retailers, and they would ship collect on arrival, or through other programs where the retailer, dictated the terms and told them, hey, use FedEx Freight. And now all of a sudden, those shipments weren't arriving for days or a week. And so apparently Lowe's was not happy, and made that clear to FedEx. So we're not exactly sure what happened, but FedEx this couple days ago, I learned, started rolling back, started sending out some messages to customers. Hey, we will start picking up your freight. And FedEx Freight confirmed that they are changing their policy, being more targeted, I guess, in which customers they say they're cutting off. It's not clear if it's 100% rollback, or just being more selective and rolling back most of it. But, maybe a few locations will still be not served to help with their flow. So anyway, that's the latest development.
Eric, do you think when you hear targeted, do you think that they're just going to do a little bit more due diligence and not try to ruffle any feathers of their biggest customers and some of the people with the big loud power that Lowe's has in the media, or do you think it's really going to be about targeting specific locations and making sure that their balances are kept?
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but maybe they're going to just be a little more surgical. And if they look at if someone's got friendly type of freight that's bulky versus ones that palletize easily, or people that keep their trucks on the docks waiting longer, or are out of network more. So we'll have to see. Not exactly sure what criteria they're going to apply, but it's highly likely that one of the criteria is, if you serve one of these big retailers, you'll probably back in the game. I should note that it's a little speculative, but it's something to consider. There might have been, besides big box retailers complaining, there's some thought that maybe the parcel side of FedEx was also not really happy with the move. They weren't consulted, and because some of the customers use FedEx for parcel and ground, it could have created market confusion, and people, might switch from the parcel. So the internally, there might have been some, complaining as well. We're not sure of that. That's speculative, but it makes sense.
And so, Eric, in the story that you put out yesterday that's up on FreightWaves.com right now, you talked to one person who said that, yeah, sourcing this replacement for FedEx LTL wasn't the easiest thing, but it also wasn't as difficult as they were expecting. Was that something that you saw kind of across the board, or were other people reporting, hey, no, we really had an incredibly hard time finding the replacement for this freight?
I don't have a whole lot of visibility into how many other people have, what their experience has been. But, I think what, is clear is that the biggest LTL carriers, have absolutely no room. And if you kind of go down to the next tier, the ones that aren't, household names, that, they might have a little more capacity, or a little more willingness to try and be flexible, or work new shipments into the system. But I think a lot of carriers or shippers, probably are still having a difficult time. I know some of the affected companies were, scrambling or struggling to find some lift, at least in the early days. So I'm guessing by this point they might have found something, but I don't think it was that easy overall.
Hey, Eric, so you are our air cargo reporter. So let's shift gears a little bit to the air cargo side. What are some of the trends? We've got about a minute and a half here. What are some of the things that you're seeing that are worth reporting?
Well, it's interesting. Some of the congestion issues that you see in the trucking side are also plaguing the airlines, especially the all cargo carriers and the airports. We've reported that big airports like Chicago O'Hare, LAX, Atlanta, JFK, they have long lines of trucks waiting to come in and, pick up and retrieve freight, especially on the import side. So that's been a big complication. It can take 2, 3, 4 days or more, depending on the ground handler in the airport. And so it's just the volumes of freight again, and lack of labor and lack of infrastructure in these places.
Incredible.
And one other thing I'll mention is July 1st, new air cargo security rules are coming into effect. All cargo going on, whether it's passenger or freighter, will have to be screened 100%, and that could add a little extra time and exacerbate some of the congestion.
Eric, it's incredible how we hear the same problems across pretty much every mode, every industry. There's too much freight, we got a labor shortage, and our infrastructure is 20 years behind. We hear very, very similar things. Eric, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Where should we send people if they want to find more about you or your work?
Yeah, just go to FreightWaves.com or AmericanShipper.com. Look for my articles. My contact information's in the bottom, and I'm also on Twitter at Eric Reports.